Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quinn Amorm.
Welcome back to the show, my friends. Today we have with us Anna Davidson. She's an empowering female leader with years of experience in e-commerce and in digital marketing space. Anna is an author of She Made It Happen. She's a speaker. She's the founder of the 101 Amazon Academy, or the Amazon 101 Academy, and Your Freedom podcast. She started selling on Amazon in 2013. That's a few years before most of us did. And she also taught over 2,000 students how to build successful businesses. And Anna has the knack for being able to rank very quickly on Amazon. And we want to talk about all of that today. Anna, how's it going?
Hi, great. I'm great. I'm really pleased to be here.
It's a pleasure having you here. And most people are only listening to the sound, but I get to see your nice smile. So Anna, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Great to be here.
So tell me something. I mentioned you started selling on Amazon in 2013. So that is like almost a year and a half before I did. And did you sell before Amazon? Were you related to e-commerce in any way?
I wasn't actually. I did quite a lot of digital marketing in my first sort of year, 18 months online. My background was corporate world. I actually worked in the pharmaceutical industry. Oh. Which has actually made me turn very anti-medicine. It's turned me the other way. So that was kind of like my 9-to-5 career. And it was when I became a mum, actually. You know, like everyone has their kind of moment, maybe if they've been doing a 9-to-5 job and then they decide to go and work for themselves. For me, it was becoming a mum that kind of made me hit that crossroads, I suppose, thinking, do I really want to kind of give all my time for this, you know, big blue chip company? Let's try and build something for myself now. Because I've always been ambitious. I wanted, you know, like a lot of mums, I think a lot of women go through that crossroads, and a lot of women give up the career, don't they? And maybe go part-time and that kind of thing. Whereas I kind of one of those that wanted it all. I was like, I'm ambitious. I want the big income. But I also want to get my time back, really. And balance that with being a good mum as well. Don't know if I've got it perfect. We all make mistakes, don't we? I've tried to do it all. But yeah, that was kind of my moment. My children were very young at that point, and redundancy was on the card. So I grabbed it.
Wow. And then in 2013, like, how did you find Amazon? Because I was selling online, like, you know, I was in Portugal before, and in the late 90s, late 97, 98, I started selling on eBay to the USA, and I couldn't sell anything in Europe. So I was selling to the USA. And for years, I didn't know I could sell on Amazon. I thought Amazon was like, you know, they would sell their own stuff. So that's why it took me so long. How did you get started? I
always thought that people who sold on eBay, because that was kind of like the thing that we all knew of really before Amazon, wasn't it? I knew people that did, but it was like a part-time hobby. And I thought if you want to scale and create like a proper business, you know, from e-commerce, then you're going to need a warehouse and staff and all that kind of stuff. And I remember having like a little bit of banter with this guy who was really into eBay selling online. And I was always like, no, because I was more bought into the whole information. And actually, because I had a very sales background, I didn't really have much knowledge around marketing, because I was, you know, the kind of field force team. I was a rep on the road, and then I managed a team of reps. That was my background. So I knew sales, but marketing was where I lacked. And my dad, actually, I remember my dad, who's always been a sort of hero of mine, I suppose, being a financial advisor, working similar to me in the corporate world, but then setting up on his own. He always said to me, oh, you know a lot about sales, but you want to learn marketing. But he was really talking about offline marketing. But really, you know, there's the same kind of strategies, but obviously, you know, you're moving it online. So I decided to invest in myself. In fact, I wrote a book. I laugh about it. I don't tell many people about this. It was around being a mumpreneur. I kind of now cringe and think, mumpreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. Not, why do I have to say I was a mum or a female? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's that girl power in me that I want to be like competing with guys all the time. I always have that women sometimes get that second seat. It's like, no, I'm an entrepreneur. Why did I pigeon myself as a mumpreneur? But I'd written this book about mums in business and thought I really wanted to market online. As I say, I laugh at it now and think it was a rubbish ebook, really.
Yeah.
At the time, but that was how I was learning sort of online strategies. And I did invest quite a lot in learning. I kind of dabbled a little bit in affiliate marketing. That wasn't really for me, but I learned a lot around different strategies around YouTube, Facebook marketing, like Facebook marketing in the early days when fan pages came out. And when the algorithm was a lot easier than it is these days. And email marketing and blogging and all these different things. But I was laying myself too thin. And I think actually it was a coach of mine that said, what is it you really, really enjoy? And it was Facebook marketing. So I actually started managing people's Facebook advertising. So it's like having like a small agency, really, because it was only me. I think I got like an online VA. And then I've always done training in the corporate world, and I enjoyed the coaching part of it. So then, as well as, because there was only like a certain capacity, unless I created a really large agency, that for me managing people's, Facebook marketing, I then started to teach it as well. I did a course around that, and I literally stumbled across Amazon. I was not interested in physical products because I was like, I'd bought into this. I've got, laptop lifestyle kind of thing, information online, education and teaching and all that kind of stuff. And I think it was a webinar. It was a webinar, and I can't remember which webinar, because it was then I then became obsessed and was like doing more research around. It was the fulfillment by Amazon that gave me that light bulb moment, which I'm sure is the same with many people. I just thought, wow, don't need the warehouse, I don't need all of those things that I perceived that I would have needed to do to scale an eBay business. And I actually started my first product on Amazon was in the supplement niche, which now I think, what was I doing? It's one of the most competitive niches.
Yeah.
I think I just secretly wanted my own drugstore online, but of herbal, natural, different supplements. But yeah, so that was kind of like my journey into Amazon, really.
Okay, got it. And it does make sense what you said, because like when I started with eBay, one of the worst nightmares is the fulfillment part, because either you're going to do it yourself, or you're going to have get third party do it. That at the time that you couldn't find many, so I was doing it, and this was all part time back then, and it is a nightmare doing fulfillment. So for all these fulfillment companies that are out there, even though there's some that do not such a good job, I mean, I still have a lot of respect for what they have to do and go through and put up with sellers like me and you, because they could have problems, but it's not my problem, right? I want my stuff delivered quick. So
exactly.
And so it is, FBA is something that is just a lifesaver for a lot of sellers, right? There's a lot of people that would not be able to do anything without the FBA.
Yeah, definitely. I've done the FBM sometimes. It's usually this time of year, and it's for products that is like a seasonal Christmas product for the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
And it is, when you do it, you think, oh my God, imagine doing this all the time. And not having just being able to send all my inventory to Amazon. It's different.
You want to know something? With the sales I do on Amazon, it's until now everything was FBA, and then during COVID-19, we had to do FBM just because there are certain things that we could not get inventory into Amazon, so we had to do FBM. So it had to be really quick. Try to get. We already had like third-party fulfillment for Walmart, for example. Deliver does the Walmart part of things. So we had to really quick get the third party to do the fulfillment. And then things started happening that I didn't know existed, or I knew they existed. I just never associated that I would have to do them again. And it's when you do FBM, you have to accept the customer's returns and refunds. While FBA, everything is automatically accepted, whether you like it or not. And then your account is at risk because now you have an order that's late, and
Yeah.
it was scary and frustrating, and so yeah, it's
Those are the challenges, aren't they? And the fact that you've got that time limit on actually clicking that you've accepted the order and the order's gone out. Because that was when I first ever did FBM, I didn't even realize I had to click that dispatch.
yes, yeah,
There's all these orders, even though I've dispatched them. But it's making sure that you've got that, like you say, fulfillment center that can link it automated, because there are good and bad ones, aren't there?
yeah, definitely. You know, the people that do retail arbitrage and wholesale and everything that are listening right now, and they probably have 1,000 FBM orders a day. They're probably laughing and thinking like,
They probably
man,
are, exactly, because they've got all the software set up and they're all, that's
yeah,
their.
and it's probably normal to have that notification your account is at risk because you missed 3% or 4% of the orders and they're late. But I wasn't used to that, so I told the VAs, every order that comes in, you automatically click that it's fulfilled, and that's it. There's
Yeah.
no tracking number yet, but go in there and create a fake fulfillment, and then we'll worry about it later.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So let's talk about here how you rank things, because that's something that everybody is very interested in. Can you give us an idea of how you do it? Because I know you work with external traffic. You already mentioned Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Is that how you do it?
So yeah, all depends on the product and the niche. Because like a lot of products recently, I've been focusing in the European market, just because they're a lot less competitive and it's not as aggressive as some of the markets that I've tackled in the US that have been quite competitive. So it all really does depend on the product. My focus is building premium, beautiful brands, that, because actually at the end of the day, all we need to do is create, the keywords or traffic, but our conversions occur from obviously our reviews, but our imagery.
Mhm.
And you know, I've learnt by error over the years of having poor quality photos and things like that. And now I have my own photographers that will take photos, because I've been researching a lot around Amazon's imagery searches for the future, that we'll be able to just put a picture in the searches and products are going to come up rather than
Yeah.
keywords. And actually the people that have the genuine photos are going to be able to come up in those searches better than kind of Photoshop images and things like that. So I suppose I've been around since the early days, and a kind of 7 years. It's funny, in other industries you'd be talking 20 or 30, but there's a lot of people that come and go in this industry. And when the days where there was the review strategies that we all know that we could do on launches, especially for me being in the supplement niche, that was just like a given. I'd be giving away 200 units to rank at the beginning. But then I think it's a good thing that's changed and the terms of service has changed, because it's actually created things to be more difficult, has it? And I understand that Amazon want to protect their reviews as well. They want to be known for their platform to be genuine reviews, and I respect that. So I think I've always treated, having tried to do the quick shortcuts when I was in the early days on Amazon,
Yes.
I've realized actually you've got to treat it like an offline business. I think a lot of people see it as that because it's online, it's not as real as a real business offline. But actually, if you were growing a business offline, you would do all the things of different marketing strategies, wouldn't you? You probably do leaflet drops and advertising in magazines, and you do all these different strategies to try and get your brand out there. So I do a lot on Instagram and Facebook. Some of my brands I also sell on my own, like e-commerce stores. Most of my income is from Amazon, but I try and these days look for like really nichey products that maybe are in the European marketplace that are not so competitive. Um, so there isn't kind of like one single strategy to rank, but I always make sure that my images are superior to everybody else. And so other people get competitive, don't they? So we've got to always be updating those images. And it's all the normal teachings around keywords and all that kind of thing. researching. I go for the longer tail keywords and grow that out and try and get the traffic within Amazon sponsored advertising as well. But I don't know if you've noticed, Amazon are massively focusing on brands now, aren't they? And
Yes.
trying to remove like the Chinese sellers of the unbranded products. And when that started to come about, because the US is always ahead of us in Europe, so you get to see what's happening in the US first. It's only recently just the same stuff has been coming to Europe. Initially, I was like, wow, people were reaching out to me saying that they couldn't, do I need to go through brand registry and things like that? And I actually think that is the way to go, to do things fully as a business you would do offline and get your trademark and go for brand registry, because you're going to secure your brand and protect your brand longer term. I do think it's harder for a new biz because you might not want to go and trademark something straight away, but I definitely think it's where you want to be heading. So kind of just treating things like a real business, really, instead of looking for shortcuts.
Yeah, I know for sure that they are definitely looking for the uh, people to have more powerful brands and have those powerful brands on Amazon. So much that they are now working on this beta that allows you to put your logo, your brand logo, instead of the name above the product. And we were invited to this a couple weeks ago, and that same week or the week after, they also came out with the new branding that you can do above the A+ content.
Right.
Yeah. So, and now that plus, above the title where you put this is visit Quinn's store.
Yeah.
Yeah, now there's going to be a feature that some brands already have, like the Elite Skincare and all that already have that. You can add your logo there instead of the brand.
Right. Okay.
So they're
Interesting.
definitely focusing on branding versus the Me Too products that so many people are launching. They're probably
Yeah.
trying to get out of that.
Because I think in the early days when me and you were first starting, you could be those types of, you could just launch another digital thermometer that's similar to someone else. But now
Hmm.
it's so much more saturated. And actually it feels more purposeful for me now that I'm actually creating it feels like more good quality, stronger brands, And if you see like the videos as well that are happening, and like I haven't done these yet. Like there's a beta tester I noticed in the UK on like the editorial recommendations. Where it's like a little mini blog post. I can't think of the name of it now. That's something on my list to try and investigate to start doing.
Is it the ones that replace the editorial recommendations?
Yeah, it's like on the UK platform. It says that it's beta tested at the moment. I don't
Okay.
think it is in the US, but it's like a little mini, like like a discussion, like a blog post on that topic.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's obviously sponsored by that brand.
Oh, yeah. So in the US, we have the editorial recommendations.
But the
Actually,
editorial
yeah.
recommendation.
So they actually been around for I would say probably a year now. Yeah, it's from the Amazon influencers, which are the affiliate marketers of Amazon that have huge
Like
follow.
the Amazon associates and things like that, is it?
Yeah, that have big blogs, and they get to do the things that we used to do back in the day. The 10
Yeah.
best, the 10 best something, and like number one is the, let's say, I don't know, Bluetooth speaker. The number one is the Bose or the Sony, and the most famous ones that are out there. Number two, you put your brand in there,
Yeah.
then nobody heard about it before, and like, this is the one we recommend because it's cheaper than than Sony, right?
I remember, I remember when I did all my supplements. I can't remember the name of the platform now. It was actually a really cool platform. You could basically get bloggers to do reviews for you. I can't remember the name of it now. I used to use it all the time. I haven't used it for years because it obviously was linked in with the whole review formula. But there'd be all these bloggers all over, like, trying the supplements. And I had a weight loss one, and it was like, I've lost so much weight. And I'd looked when they'd ordered it, it was like 2 days ago. That was when it was getting a bit silly, you know. I was like, it doesn't feel right. I think when something doesn't feel right, it's probably not right, you know.
Yeah.
It's much nicer and rewarding when you see those genuine reviews come in. And you're
Yeah,
like, wow.
definitely. Yeah, you remember before there was such thing as verified reviews, and everything was just a review, and there was no record of if that person had bought the product or not.
Yeah.
And you could just go on the Facebook pages, because at the time the Facebook page had more
Reach, didn't it?
more, yeah,
Yeah.
more reach and more engagement than Facebook groups. And you could go there and just ask people for reviews, and they would give you the review before even getting the product.
It
Yeah.
is crazy when you think back. No wonder Amazon kind of changed their terms. I can totally understand why they decided to do that, to protect their
Exactly.
quality of reviews, you know. So yeah, so that's, I think, how I've grown within it, because you do learn by your mistakes. How I've grown within my Amazon business is, it's nice to see how Amazon's sort of aligning with it, really, with the whole brand registry, focusing on brands, focusing on quality items, and kind of really trying to stand out by it, maybe even introducing something new into a niche, you know. I do a lot of research on the competition. That's what, reading all the reviews and all that kind of stuff. Spend a lot of time looking for opportunities like that, and also looking when I'm researching keywords, looking a lot on the relevancy. You might find a particular keyword that's not a huge volume, but you can't automate this bit. If you put that long keyword into Amazon and look to see the relevance, look to see what products are coming up. So we've found that there's a demand for that, but actually there's not much that's Amazon's presenting for that keyword, and I sort of spot opportunities like that as well.
Yeah, yeah, I do the same thing, and I do. Well, I can mention it here because everybody knows it, but I do use Helium 10 to see, for example, all the competitors, what they rank for on the first 50 or
Yeah,
60 results, and then put it in a sheet, and then competitor 2 and 3 and 4, and then find out what are the keywords that they rank on page 1, for example, on a desktop, that I had no idea they could rank for, or I could rank for, even if they have like 3 or 400 of demand, and
yeah,
then we could do something about it and try to make it relevant for our products. And now, talking about relevancy, which is like one of the most important things that algorithms look for, is for relevancy. And on Amazon, they got to measure that with some sort of engagement, which mostly is a conversion rate. How do you gain relevancy for a keyword? Let's say it's one of these keywords you found out today, that your competitors rank for. Would you use still any kind of rebates with Supreme URLs or super URLs?
what I have started doing is using chatbot sequences
Mhm.
for rebates, which was in fact, I've got to give credit for Regina. I don't know if you've come across Regina Peterbergsky.
I,
Um,
I haven't had her here, but I do know the name.
she shared this strategy actually with me, so I'm going to give her credit for it. And because there's lots of the chat box, many chat stuff, kind of overwhelmed me a little bit, and it was kind of like it's another thing to kind of learn and focus my time on. And as you're growing your business, you kind of want to outsource different steps, don't you? But she presented it in a really, really simple way. So I've started using sort of chatbot sequences through Facebook advertising to do rebates. So I have done that for certain keywords. Now, I used to use a super URL, but I've got really fearful over that, because I knew a lot of people were sort of slapped around using super URLs. But I do think it's an interesting debate, because I think a lot of people do still use them, don't they? But
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
I remember working with someone that was kind of restricted, and their account got suspended from using one many years ago. So it's always put me off doing the super URL. So
Yeah, I
um,
hear there's always two sides for every story, but I hear that some people say that Amazon doesn't want rebates, and then that they're suspending accounts. But then others say that it's not the rebates that gets the account suspended, is the fact that you go ask the people that got the rebate and you ask them for a review, and now that makes it against terms of service.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, to be honest, I still use them, and the only reason I still use them is because some still work. Not all of them work, and there's ways to do that. And I don't want to start mentioning like software's names and everything of what works and what doesn't, but um, there are ways now to automate, for example, the search
yeah,
find buys, and as long as there's no review involved, I never ask for any reviews of any kind. I don't want 5 stars or
yeah.
1 star, nothing. All I want is that engagement, which is that high conversion rate.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's what, once you've kind of got a certain amount of reviews, you can start doing stuff like that, can't you? Because you just want in the ranking part of it rather than you've already got the conversion with the reviews and the photos and all that kind of stuff. You can kind of play around with just basically getting the sales by doing stuff like that. It is that link to doing that with the review. I've noticed when I've had reviews removed in the past.
Yeah, you had a bunch of them removed.
Yeah, I had a bunch of them removed.
Was it the pre 2016 ones?
Yeah, it was the pre-2016 one.
Yeah, what was it that we had to get everybody to say? It was, oh, I got this product at highly discount, right?
That was it. I got this product highly discounted, and really, that's why I'm giving them a 5-star review.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my honest review, but something like that. I can't remember, but everybody had to write that on.
It was just that was the same kind of time as like trying to also get the reviewers to mention certain keywords as well, which is quite
Yeah.
handy for people to do because it's like because most people say this item, don't they? All whereas if they actually said, you know, this yoga mat or this cork yoga mat or whatever the keyword is that you wanted to rank for, in the review, as well as putting those tags on your photo, you know, condensing all those keywords in every single place, I think
And,
helps. But I remember asking people to actually put specific keywords in, which I have not done that for a long time now.
and they actually do work. And unfortunately for me, in one of the cases, I know this is true that they work because there was a product the Amazon wouldn't allow us to advertise anymore. So they took away the advertising privileges for this product. And
Okay.
we and because they were at the time, some of the competitors were still advertising this product, we contacted Amazon advertising support, and they told us it was because our product had claims that it would change, and this was a supplement, but it would change permanently parts of the human body. And
Right.
any product that claims that it would change permanently the part of the human body, you are not allowed to advertise them. And we had no such claims. But after talking to one of the reps, ended up telling us that on the reviews on our page, there were such claims. And although it was somebody else saying it, they still wouldn't let us advertise. And now today, the entire subcategory, nobody can advertise in that subcategory, just to make it more fair, because everybody can have whatever category they want sometimes and still advertise that product.
Exactly. So yeah, that's interesting. That kind of verifies my point then around the reviews. And so that could have been. Did you know which the reviews were that had put those keywords in? Because that could have been someone trying to sabotage you, couldn't it? Really?
I don't think so, because at the time, well, I really don't know, but at the time we didn't know, or nobody was sure if the reviews would really influence ranking or even indexing. But I guess after these guys, that nobody personally went there to track these reviews, right? These were bots that figured those keywords were in our listing and they came from the reviews. Uh, so I don't think it was, because the reviews were positive. I mean, they were 5-star reviews, and people saying that it did this to me and it did this, so they were so happy. So they were really good reviews, but unfortunately, that's what caused.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're right. Then it does those
Yeah,
keywords. It doesn't matter whether it's from you or you're with customers, and does it really?
yeah. Well, we search the ads all the time, and all the old competitors do not advertise, but anybody that launches a brand new SKU into this niche, they are allowed to advertise for the first week or so until they are caught up with. And then when
Oh,
Amazon catches them, then they restrict, according to that advertising support, they were saying they restrict them on an ASIN basis. So it's not the brand, it's not the entire category, like I said, or the subcategory. It's the ASINs themselves that fit into that category, and they
right.
just block them. So they have to catch them manually, is what he was telling me. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
So tell me something, Anna. If you see somebody, a client or somebody that you know that's launching a product into one of the like the highest competitive niches on Amazon, what kind of advice would you tell them? Like besides the don't do this, right? That don't do this. But if you do it, here's some tips for you to launch in this category.
Yeah, okay. So I think, like I've already said about making sure that you do your research on the keywords and looking for relevancy around those keywords and trying to find little golden nuggets that maybe other people aren't going for, maybe some of the smaller keywords to rank on. And photography, your imagery needs to be the best. But I think if you are launching a very competitive niche, you've got to be prepared to spend on advertising, whether that be Amazon advertising or off Amazon advertising. And so, whereas maybe in a less competitive niche, your profits would be higher. So, if we're thinking maybe like the supplement niche, you've got to be prepared, I think, for lower profit margins, but to be trying to get more volume of sales. It's going to be harder, and you need to spend. If you're going into a competitive niche and thinking, I'm just going to do it by everything else, like keywords and an optimized listing. You're not. You're going to have to be prepared to spend money on marketing.
Definitely, definitely. Marketing is, I would say it's debatable. Number one between what's number one for you, marketing or sales? Because sales are what we want.
Yeah,
Marketing is what gets them.
exactly. They sort of go hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah. So definitely that, because you know campaigns outside of Amazon is something that we work on as well. Instagram, Facebook is where we do some of the you know uh, ads in free reach. We also work hardly on SEO still.
Yeah,
Some people say it's 2020, give up SEO, but I do not, because it is free traffic. And for everybody listening, the main thing that I see from SEO is that I can create an ad that's going to get quicker results, and and it's going to give me those immediate sales if I want it. But I can always create ads. And the SEO, the thing is that when I turn off the ad is done. You will not get any more sales from that ad. Well, the SEO, even if you stop putting efforts into it, is still going to give you that organic momentum from Google, Yahoo, and Bing that a lot of people forget, because I dislike Bing.
yeah. I
As
don't like Bing.
I dislike them. Let me tell you that, just because they
I like them so much. I know they follow you everywhere. Once you've clicked on
it's
that Bing, that's it. You can't get rid, can you?
it's like a starving dog that chases you. If you're you're eating something, and that starving dog is chasing you. That's Bing, right?
It is. I do know people who have been successful on Bing ads. I agreement with you.
Oh,
I,
that's what I was going to say. You can be successful on ads as a search engine, or
yeah,
the browser. I cannot stand them, and almost anything that's Microsoft. But you can be successful because they don't have the 7 billion users that Google has, but they have many millions still, right? So they're small in comparison to the others, but it's still a huge, insane platform that has a lower CPC than you can get in Google, because there's less competitors, so you can get lower clicks on your ads. But
What about Pinterest? Have you done much with Pinterest? It's something that literally over this last couple of weeks I've been looking into because I keep hearing, different people talking about how they've been quite successful with physical products generally, on Pinterest. It's something that I've been just recently, just the last few weeks. I would say I'm not saying I'm an expert on it at all, but just to get your thoughts on it, really.
I am definitely not an expert. I'm not even an amateur. We do have Pinterest accounts from some of the brands. Some brands don't really fit into Pinterest, but anything that's
Yeah.
if it's in the grocery category, which we had a coffee product that it technically doesn't really exist anymore, but that was something that had good engagement in Pinterest. But everything we had on Pinterest was organic. There was no ads, no nothing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I personally don't know how to deal with it. Yeah, I don't know much about Pinterest.
Yeah, I'm kind of learning as well. I'm at the baby steps, but it's something that I know that some people have having really big success over. So, and I've noticed when I've just put in products that maybe I'm looking for, as a buyer, not a seller, and I notice in Google Pinterest comes up quite a lot for different things. I'm thinking, I need to check this out a bit more. And I actually met somebody recently that was using TikTok and had huge success, which just blew my mind a bit, really, because I kind of always pigeon TikTok for, my 13-year-old son who messes around on it.
Yes, and I have a story that I soon I hope I'll be able to actually share the whole details of this. But it's the power of TikTok. This was probably about a month ago, and I cannot mention what the product is or anything because technically we can get in trouble if we even recognize that. But it was somebody else that we actually do not know was using our product for an effect that it's not meant to be. All right.
Okay.
So this product that we sell, they were using it for something else, and be, a lot of videos started popping up on TikTok. And one of the guys that shared this, he had a couple million followers already, and this young fella, and uh, they are allowed to share these videos because they have no connection to the brand. If we were involved, this could get us in trouble with FDAs and everything because this is
Yeah.
something that they were putting in or on their body and is not meant to be, and we
It's
have no
not
like
licensed or whatever for that.
exactly,
Bring me back to my pharmaceutical days now.
exactly
Off
that.
license.
So this is just so you know, uh, this is a product that has a drug number in Canada and the USA, but it's an over the counter product, right? So it's not really a prescription product. But anyway, because of this, and it could be used for that other function, and some people are probably listening to this saw some of those videos and they already know what it is. But the thing is, it jumped, had a growth just from TikTok, and it took us a while to figure it out. But it had a growth of 400,000 per month,
Wow.
and organic from that. And unfortunately, it's not a brand that I own. I just manage the brand. I don't own it, but it had an explosion of 400,000 per month
Wow.
because of this. So I know the power of, and
Yeah.
most of these people were not influencers. One was they had like 2 million followers. The rest were kids that were copying that video because they used it for the same purpose.
Yeah.
And it is so powerful. Of course, we can't intervene. We can't do anything because then it becomes official, and if it becomes
Yeah.
official,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Man.
big pharma would
That's
intervene.
amazing. Yeah. I love stories like that.
So in purpose, I would probably never have been able to replicate that because I wouldn't be able to think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And
Exactly.
plus
And
it
that
wouldn't
just
be
shows you the natural, organic kind of
exactly.
viral stuff, and it just shows you that actually uh, sometimes you can't kind of intervene on things like that. If you do, you wouldn't have been legal, would it? But On the second thing, if you had been able to, it probably would have messed up. Things like that just organically take off, don't they?
Yeah, because if we would have done the video ourselves, if we had it for somehow thought about that, it wouldn't have been the same thing, because it would be like we're tooting our own horn.
Exactly.
Right. Well, in this case, it's a third party that has nothing to do with us. They're not even affiliated. There's nothing they can gain from this besides the exposure that they did, because they got millions and millions of views, because almost every teenager in the world wants to watch that video. Let me tell you, because of what they say our product can do for I've used it for that purpose.
Like, I feel like I'm guessing, but yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah, but eventually, hopefully one day, I'll be able to share it, and then everybody will know what it is.
Yeah.
But it's so cool, the powerful of influencers, if done properly. In this case, it was random, but have you ever experienced that? Do you work with influencers?
You know what? I've done not anybody major. When you were talking about that, the only experience I had was I sold the Segway hoverboards.
Yeah.
And when they were all taking off, and then they all started blowing up as well and setting on fire. So that was like a real boom, and then a massive big stop, and then a drop. And so we didn't continue selling them. It was around this time of year that I think it was 2016 actually. It was a joint venture that I did with another guy. But as regards to actual influencers, I've recommended some to my students, but I've never actually used them for my brands. I don't even know why. I think it's more that I had a couple that weren't. I think there's a lot of people. You've got to be able to identify who are the true influencers versus who are people that say they are influencers and actually they haven't. Yeah, I did a lot of work on Instagram as regards to it's not the number of followers, it's the engagement that people are getting on the comments and the posts and all that kind of stuff. So basically, I've been working with a yoga brand in the yoga niche, and they've used quite a few influencers that's worked quite well for them, but it's not my brand. It's like a consultancy I've been doing. But as regards to my own products, my niche at the moment is bamboo, a lot of bamboo products. So I've kind of not really needed influencers within that.
Oh my goodness, you are my competitor in that.
Like everybody else, let's face it.
Yes,
there's so many of us now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, everybody is our competitor. So
exactly.
any seller that you talk to right now, like, oh yeah, I am your competitor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. If you've been around long enough, you have sold a product that competes with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, there's some that I don't want to ever see again.
That's like Bing.
Yes,
go with Bing. You can go with Bing.
Bing and whatever that browser is that Microsoft is mandatory to have on your computer. And you're not allowed to delete it. Edge, Microsoft Edge.
Yes,
yeah. Yes, I don't want anything to do with it.
That really tickled me. What did you say? It's like a hungry, starving dog following.
Yes. Can you imagine when I said it? Actually, I've never said that before, but I pictured myself walking down a busy street of New York, and I'm eating something. There's a starving dog chasing me, trying to get it, and I had a collar, and that collar said Bing on it.
I'm sure anyone listening can definitely relate.
There you go.
Bing, it's so difficult.
Yeah. Did you ever try going on Google and searching download Chrome? If you type in download Chrome, and I'm sorry, yes, when you any new computer that you get comes with Bing, and the first time you want to download Chrome, you type in download Chrome, and they Bing pops up. They have an ad, it pops up, and it's almost like, did you mean Bing instead? Did you know that Bing is faster than Chrome?
And if there's just one slight slip, that's it. Bing's taken over.
Yeah. Did you want to set us as your preferred browser?
Yeah.
No, thanks.
As your default.
Yeah.
We are now your default browser, and we are not going away.
By the way, we updated your operating system, and we decided to change, and we put Bing as your default browser. You want to keep those changes?
When you change it, there's no other option apart from Bing. They've deleted any other option possible. You can't even get Google back, Chrome back.
You're a Mac user, so you probably.
I am a Mac user. No, but still, Bing took over.
Really?
Bing, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Not even Mac. Yeah, no.
I thought about buying a Mac just so I wouldn't have to see it, but I guess Mac users see it too.
You can create a new person. That's how I got rid of it. So Bing is still on my old person on my Mac because I gave up trying to get rid of Bing.
Yeah, I'm trying to use now a Tor browser just so nobody can chase me around.
But no starving dogs anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Oh, and I see we've been at this for a long time, and for those of you that don't know, we were talking here before even we hit record. We're talking for a long time here, so
yeah, exactly.
Anna,
get rid of me now.
I know you have your own website, you have your own podcast, so tell everybody if they want to hear more about you and they want to work with you and learn more, where do they go?
So you can find me on the socials. I'm on the socials as the Anna Davidson because there was several Anna Davidsons, so I had to be the one. And my website is theannadavidson.com as well. So I mainly hang out around Instagram and Facebook. I've got my own groups as well and my podcast as well. But my podcast is not really about Amazon. So,
okay. And that is Your Freedom Podcast.
Yeah, Your Freedom Podcast. I only started that in July, so it's kind of a baby. In fact, there's been so many people through COVID that have launched podcasts, haven't there? I don't know if you've noticed. There's been a podcast boom.
Oh yes, it's like blogs in the year 2000.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Your Freedom Podcast. There's 3 pillars: love, money, and mind. And it's just all the learnings that I've had in my life with business and personal. And I had a bit of a tough time a few years ago. So I kind of wanted to create that podcast that when you are in a low, you're in your darkest times, actually you believe that everybody, especially with social media these days, that everyone else's life is perfect. And you kind of go into yourself a bit and it's all like, you wallow and it's all like, why me? But actually, when you break it down and you focus on gratitude and you hear other people's stories, that's what makes you feel better because you realize that everyone's battling with challenges in their life, whether it be financial or health or going through someone's bereavement or domestic violence, as it was in my case. People have these challenges, and my kind of thing is I found a meaning in that suffering. I want to get that out in the world and share other people's inspiring stories of challenges to success, really, or getting through tough times. So that's what the Freedom Podcast is all about. So yeah, Beautiful. It's kind of like my giving back into the world, really. I haven't kind of worked out a monetary part of that yet. I just wanted to share these stories.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you know what, you touched on social media, how everything can look so beautiful because we only post the pictures. It doesn't matter who it is. You're not going to post the pictures that are not favorable to you. They're going to make you look old or make you look fat or something. And even I do that. Everybody does that. And actually, the funny thing, somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody had a picture on Facebook and it said, "Do you envy my lifestyle?" And it had her legs, like only the top of the legs showing by the swimming pool. And it said, "I'm getting a tan," or something like that. And then on the comments, they posted the real picture, the a picture that's taken back, and it's the swimming pool is a picture, and her legs are not her legs. It was actually two sausages, and it's and it's almost as if she's taking a selfie from the body down, standing by the swimming pool, but it's actually somebody on
with
a desk.
hot dogs.
Yeah, two sausages in front of a picture of a swimming pool.
That's really interesting. No, it's so true, isn't it? I've got two boys, 13 and 10, and sometimes I do worry about how they're born into this, digital world, really,
Yeah.
that I didn't have. I'm in my 40s, but yeah, I think sometimes it kind of concerns me about mental health for the future of our youngsters, really,
Definitely,
within this sort of digital world and
definitely.
social world.
That's one of my big worries too, because I'm a father of three, and two of my kids have never touched a phone yet. Well, because they're not old enough, but one is 7, and of course, she has her messenger where we had to um, give her something when COVID happened. Kind of accelerated the process, so she had to have online school and stuff. And it worries me so much that kids are living off likes, and if they don't get enough likes, things are affecting them, um, psychologically,
Yeah,
because
and popularity and confidence and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
it's scary. And
it
I
is. It is, but it's like having those conversations. I think because every time I've had those conversations where we've discussed different things, because we were having a discussion the other day about depression and what depression is, and my two boys thought depression was just feeling sad.
Yes, I thought
Because
that for many years.
I did as well. But the youngsters are always like, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. You know what I mean? And I was like, do you realise what that means? Do you realise what that means? And they're like, yeah, it means you feel sad. I was like, no, it's like, a condition where you'd have to go to hospital. And I made it even sound worse than it was, just to kind of get that message through that don't flippantly use terminology because these sort of like trendy terms to say. I suppose it's just that fear of I've seen or heard cases, of um, youngsters, teenagers in suicide with, killing themselves over things that have escalated through chat, which is just crazy how someone can kind of get that way, really. Someone so young.
Yeah, I mean, when you're not in that situation, it's almost impossible to understand.
Yeah.
And then when you finally meet somebody, or if somebody unfortunately ever gets into that situation, it's the only time you can understand what it really is.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly. Exactly. But it kind of the younger age group, I can understand it on like an adult level in some respects. But on a teenage level, I think there's a lot of this peer stuff, isn't there? There's a lot of
yes,
when you grow up, your 7-year-old will still be you will be you as parents the most important person that you could get your influence from, and then there becomes a point where it's like probably 9, 10, where then suddenly it curves over into actually it's about your friends influencing your peers, um, and it becomes more so when you're in the teenage years and less impact from your parents, but it's getting that balance. It's getting that balance,
yeah. I still remember the worst thing to happen to me as a kid, because I'm in my 40s too. It was that I could get, somebody that was older or stronger than me that could beat me up. And I'll come home and tell my dad, like, oh, he beat me up. He's like, oh, yeah? Well, next time you stay away from him. They should have taught you a lesson. And and that's the worst that can happen. But now there's actually no uh, I can't say no physical violence, because that still exists. But the worst is actually the one that you can't see. And
Yeah, it is definitely. In fact, a funny story. My son said the other day, he was talking to one of his friends, and he said, "Yeah, they've got to wear masks at school," and he's like, the school think they can control COVID. They can't even control a fight in the playground." I was like, "That's out of the words of a child." It did make me laugh. Um, so they still do the whole, things that we did at school. It hasn't changed miles ahead, has it? But it's the digital part of it that makes those conversations go on longer. Because I remember having to, if you rang a friend, you had to go through the parent to get to the friend, didn't you? Ringing on the home phone. Whereas now they can get in touch with each other so easily. So I do my spot checks, the mum spot checks on the phone. But they're fully, you can't have a phone unless you agree to the spot checks. And if not, you're not having a phone.
Yeah. Well, I'll never forget, man. We're getting this is too long, but I'll never forget. Years ago, still in Europe, and I was away from home for a couple of days for this party, and I called my dad, and he never had a phone that had a screen. It was still those old school phones that it has the rotating numbers. That's it. And I called, and he answered the phone, and I said, "Hey, it's Quinn," and he started laughing. And it was a morning, but it was been 2 days since I'd gone home, and he started laughing. He said, "Quinn, no, he's still in bed, man." He thought it was a friend of mine asking for me, and he's like, "No, he's still in bed." So he had no idea I was gone.
How funny! You were partying.
Yeah. Okay, Anna. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. We'll have to do this again because there's so much we can talk about, and we didn't touch on half of the things.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. We'll definitely, do it again.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Speak soon.